So currently about halfway through summer and I am in such a big reading slump. I'm not panicking because quite frankly, every single summer I get into a really big reading slump that tends to peak right around the beginning of August. So we are right on track with my usual reading habits. It has been beautiful outside. I've been up to a lot of fun summer things that I'll talk about. Unfortunately, a lot of them have not been reading. And as has become very apparent with the last couple videos I've made of these monthly updates, it's becoming really clear to you all that I am incapable of actually reading the books that I put in my TBR. It seems to immediately curse them as books that I start and DNF, and now I'm publicly sharing that with you all by being a little bit more clear what I'm reading month to month, or rather what I'm not reading. But if you're here for some books, don't worry, I have a slump busting TBR plan for August and I'm hoping will really get me back on track. All that being said, let's get started. All right, so let's talk about this summer TBR, and I've purposely designed it to be really easy books that I think I'm just gonna fly through and will just be those addictive summer thriller type books. So the first one I want to read is Sadie by Courtney Summers, which is a YA thriller that was hugely popular before. This is one for my TBR I do plan to do an audiobook because everyone says the narration is amazing. And again, when it comes to young adult books, while they aren't always 5-star reads for me, they're not necessarily all-time favorites. They tend to be really easy to get into since they are targeted for a younger audience. And so if I'm going to pull out all of my slump busting tools from the toolbox, picking up some YA definitely needs to happen. And again, everyone tells me this book is super addicting. It's, I believe, a story of a young girl, Sadie, who goes missing, or she's investigating people who are missing. I really need to look up the synopsis before I film these videos, but yet I never do. Sorry about that. The next book I want to read is one from my previous summer TBR, and that is The Violence by Delilah S. Dawson. I've really enjoyed some of her other books before, like Bloom, and this is her apocalyptic story about individuals who just burst into violence and where the violence is almost the epidemic of this imagined future. It sounds ridiculous and over the top, but at the same time, it sounds like the kind of book that I will just fly through. I believe it's actually fairly long, but again, given the subject matter, I imagine it's going to be quite a page turner. I'm hoping it works for me, given the fact that I've loved previous books by this author. But again, I just need to try it. It's one of the last holdovers from when I was previously doing quarterly seasonal TBRs, and so I do want to check one of those final books off my list. I also want to try reading Guilty Pleasures by Laurel Hamilton, and this is the first book in a long-running Southern Gothic vampire series that's very popular in the urban fantasy community. This one might be a bit outside of my reading comfort zone, and in some ways when I'm in a slumpy mood that might actually work really well for me, because often it's the fact that I'm tired of reading the books that I'm supposed to like and supposed to be reading, and so I'm hoping this one will work. I've never seen the TV show that was adapted from this long-running book series, but I'm going to give it a try and see how that goes. As well, I want to read some Michael Crichton. Originally, when I put together the list for this video, I had Prey by Michael Crichton on here. However, I ended up cheating and reading it in July, and so I'm now going to put a different Michael Crichton on the list because I didn't read a lot in July, but if Michael Crichton is working for me right now, I want to lean into it and read another book by him. So I looked at the list of his backlist, which is huge, and I think I'm going to go with The Congo next. It's one that seems to be one of his most popular, and it's been on my radar for quite a while, so hopefully that one works too. I'll talk more about Prey in an upcoming wrap-up, but needless to say, when I'm feeling slumpy like this, he seems to be an author who knows how to grab my attention, pull me in, and keep me reading, and I want that experience again with him very soon. I also want to try the book Earthlings, which is a cute contemporary / science fiction story that is by the same author who wrote Convenience Store Woman, a piece of translated fictional Japanese work that I really enjoyed. I really like the quirky character in that one, and so I believe this one follows an individual who might believe themselves to be an alien. I'm not really sure if it counts as sci-fi, but again, if there ever was a month to cheat and read books that are kind of the genres I read, but not really, this is the time to do it. And honestly, since finishing Convenience Store Woman, I just want more by this author, and this one seems to be the other beloved book that I definitely need to check out. Hopefully we'll love, hopefully we'll bust this slump. And that brings me to the Patron Book Club picks. So what I try to do within this video segment is talk about the books we have read, as well as talk about what is coming up on my TBR. TBR. So I did forget to mention that in June we did The Ruins by Scott Smith. I talked that I was going to read it, but I didn't actually report back. That was a reread for me, and I really enjoyed my time once again with this thriller horror book, all involving this group who are going off to Mexico. Something goes horribly wrong, and there is a plant horror, body horror element to it, as well as a survival horror element. It worked so well for me. It was a book I read so long ago when I was just getting into horror, and I really didn't know if it would hold up on reread because I've had the unfortunate experience that a lot of books that worked with me back then don't work for me as well. My tastes have shifted, and arguably I feel like I'm a more snobbish reader when it comes to my prose and narrative styles and all of that. Thankfully, while this was definitely more of a fun popcorn read, it definitely has some teeth, and I think it's well done for what it's trying to do, and I really had a good time rereading it, so that was a big thumbs up from me. The book that we then read in July was for my themed birthday month, where we wanted to read books that were by a Canadian author. The group selected Washington Black, and this is one that was completely off my radar. It is a piece of literary historical fiction where we follow this individual through their life journey that eventually brings them to Canada, where the author is writing from. And it's a book that I struggle to review properly online because of the fact that I very much appreciate the prose were elevated and eloquent, the characters were dynamic and complex and three-dimensional. There was a deep journey, a long journey of this individual from their roots and slavery, and very much as they are growing and struggling to become and get to the place that they are at the end of the book. And so I very much appreciate it, but in the middle of the summer heat of Canada, it was the last book I felt like reading. And it was annoying because, again, when I say that I don't feel like reading a book, when I say I don't want to read a book, largely it looks like it's a problem with the book or something, again, about the book is not engaging or so forth. And it's just simply the fact that I am not drawn to really heavy historical fiction like that in the summer months, and subsequently my reading experience with the book suffered because I just was not in the mood for it, and would have otherwise saved it for the middle of winter when I would have felt more in the mood for something big and chunky like that. But because it was the book club pick, I do sometimes struggle with reading the right book at the wrong time when I'm very much aware that I don't get the control of picking up something based off my mood, but when it just happens to work out with the book club schedule. And so it is something I struggle with. I love the book club, I love the engagement. So many other people within the group read this one, loved it, and I felt like the lone loser who just wasn't in the mood to read this dark, heavy book with some really important themes, and I was the problem and not the book, and it felt so frustrating, and so frustrating to recount on camera. Then in August, the book club theme was a mystery thriller, and the book that the group selected is Mystic River by Dennis Lehane. I've read Shutter Island with the book club before, and honestly, I was a little bit indifferent to that one. I wasn't as wowed by the ending as other people have been. I'm hoping this one works better for me. I have not seen the movie, but again, if everyone is game to read it, hopefully because it's more of a thriller, I'm hoping it'll work better in the slumpy mood and line up a little bit better with what I'm normally drawn to during the summer months. So fingers crossed there. I also need to read The Year of Salt and Rice by Kim Stanley Robinson. It's a book, again, that was selected for my patron group to read over the summer months, and we're now in the last month of the summer, so I better get to that. I will make it happen, I promise. And that brings me to the media that I've been consuming, and a few things in terms of updates. I have seen one movie, and that was the Formula One movie. I don't watch a lot of movies, and maybe 4 or 5 the entire year. And so this was one that was very much on my radar because I'm a huge fan of the Formula One as a sport, and there was lots of cameos by actual drivers and references to real events and so forth. Really fun, but also clearly had the Hollywood spin on it, and I'm not a big fan of Brad Pitt as an actor at this point. So I had fun with the movie despite its criticisms and flaws, which are apparent, but in terms of just a fun popcorn movie to watch when you love the sport, it was really enjoyable. In terms of TV, I didn't actually think I was going to have an update, and then we just started a TV show this week that I can mention, and that is Severance. I'm not going to say virtually anything about the plot because in my mind people say way too much way too soon, even though a lot of the premise is explained in the first episode. I already think that's too much to say. This one has been on my radar for quite a while. Many of my friends that know my personal taste when it comes to both books and movies and TV shows have been recommending this one to me nonstop, and I haven't watched it, not because I didn't think I would enjoy it, but I kept putting it off because I actually thought I was really gonna love it, and I didn't want to pick it up when I was too stressed or too busy. And a lot of times at the end of the day, on say a stressful work day, I'm more inclined to put on a comedy or rewatch something that I already know, and I never felt like I had the mental capacity to take it on. Thankfully, it's summer now, and I was very much in the mood to get started. My husband and I are only a couple episodes in as I record this, really addicted, and I will say that I'm hoping it all comes together because it has kind of that Lost quality to it, where there's a lot of mysterious, kind of has that quality that was so addicting with the Lost TV show, where there's a lot of mysterious elements, and my worry or my hope is that they can pull it all together and actually make a plot or an ending to this show that's going to make sense, because there's so much mystery going on, and my worry is that I really hope that the writers of the show know where they're going, and so hopefully they already understand the meaning behind all the mystery that they're presenting us with, because it's super, super intriguing. I want to know what's going on inside and outside of the office and so forth. But I really hope that they pull this off with an incredible ending when this all comes together. I am, again, still in season 1. I don't know how many seasons are planned, but very much I'm in it to win it because this one is fantastic so far. So please, please, writers, do not disappoint me when this all comes together. Then in terms of video games, I've also been playing Heavy Rain. This is by the same studio that made one of my favorite choose your own adventure type stories, that was Detroit Become Human, and so now Heavy Rain is one of their older titles, so it definitely is dated in places. We follow a couple different perspectives, but the main one is this man who at the beginning of the story something happens to his son, and he is just drenched in the grief and tragedy of the situation. There's also a serial killer on the loose who seems to have this certain style where he drops and leaves these origami elements, and so everything is kind of at this point, I'm not sure how it all ties together, but clearly it will. And so you have these different detectives who are investigating things, and slowly I assume it's all going to come together. I think I'm about 4 hours into what should be about a 10-hour game. I'm really intrigued so far, but I do have a ways to go. I'm not certain I'm going to finish this month. Honestly, it might take me a few. If you're wondering, I am still playing and really enjoying Final Fantasy X. I just am playing through it really slowly because of the fact that I rarely am in the room where our PlayStation is, and so it's just not a very convenient game to play in large chunks of time. So I'm probably going to be playing that one honestly for the next 10 months plus, and so I'm going to have some other video games on the side like Heavy Rain to supplement when I want to play a PC game and just don't feel like sitting in front of the TV watching or playing the PlayStation game. And that brings me to life updates. So I'm recording this just at the end of July, but technically before my birthday has actually happened, and so I don't have tons to report on what I did at my birthday because I don't actually know, but our plan is to keep it really low key, just see some friends. There's a Formula 1 race on the Sunday, so we'll probably have people over to do that. And really, if I just get a long weekend to just enjoy with friends and family, I will be very happy. I'm not expecting to do a dedicated birthday book haul because of the fact that, again, my e-reader was meant to be a gift in lieu of getting something for my birthday. I just wanted to get it early because I had travel in the spring. And so I'm not actually expecting any additional gifts, although I am doing the thing that you shouldn't do in your birthday month where you just justify a lot of extra purchases because it's your birthday month that aren't technically your birthday present but kind of are. So I got myself a sundress, which I'm not going to show on camera, but I also did get a haul from Book Outlet. I just put the order in today as I record this, and even though Book Outlet is arguably known for books, I actually requested and ordered a bunch of puzzles because I'm really into jigsaw puzzles. I've just been going down that rabbit hole of the internet. I really want more cozy hobbies to do, and so I'm thinking about doing a book/puzzle haul in the next couple weeks if people are interested in that. I do have some other books I have bought, so it won't just be puzzles in that video, but I'd love to know if people are kind of interested in me sharing a little bit more about some of the other cozy hobbies I've been diving into. I also got myself an adult coloring book. Actually, I got myself 2, but who's counting? And so I'm just kind of looking to play around with what is interesting to you all on my channel and what things I should keep to myself, because if no one actually cares about my jigsaw puzzling obsession right now, I can keep it under wraps and talk about books on this channel. So let me know down below if I should kind of turn that into a little bit of a birthday book haul, puzzle haul thing, if people actually want to see that turned into a video in the next couple weeks. Because if you guys say yes, I'm pretty likely to do it because I kind of want to do it even if you guys say you're not interested. I might still do it anyway because it's my channel and I can do what I want, right? Let's go with that. In terms of other life updates, mostly just having a really good summer. I am mostly still working my usual days, but outside of that, I'm really taking advantage of the beautiful weather whenever it happens. We've had lots of rain and lots of smoke from the forest fires. I'm always, of course, being mindful and thinking of those that are in danger with everything going on up north. But for ourselves, it's been great. We've had days where we've gone swimming, we went canoeing, we had a day where a friend made this amazing paella meal on the beach, and so we had that. And just again, spending time with friends, being outside, biking and camping. We've had day trips to the beach, and it's just been really enjoyable. So in terms of a summer, it's been fantastic. From a reading perspective, it's been not great. And again, I'm really trying to lean into that just because it doesn't feel great from a creation perspective on this channel, it doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong by, again, spending my time, spending these years on quality memories with friends and families in our very few narrow hot months of the year. I am just loving the hot weather when we get it, and just really grateful for the time we have, because soon enough it'll be winter and I'll be sitting inside cold with all of my chunky books, doing my puzzles and wishing it was summer again. So really, while I mentioned that I'm trying to bust out my reading slump, I'm also okay that reading's taken a backseat, because this is a good progression for me. I've been someone who's been really obsessive with my reading, and kind of letting it go and treating reading as something that I do in moderation is probably healthy for my addictive brain. So while I'm sorry I'm not reading more from a content perspective, from a personal perspective, from my sanity perspective, it's probably a good thing right now. So that's it for this video here. I'd love to know the books I talked about, the video games, TV shows, what are you watching, reading yourselves? How is the summer going? Are you also enjoying the summer heat? Of course, if you're watching from a place like Australia and New Zealand, I know you're in the middle of winter, so I'm sorry about that. Don't worry, you will have the beautiful warm weather when we are all freezing on this side of the hemisphere. But really appreciate all of you watching around the globe. Those of you that join me on my channel, and love to hear again, what are you reading? What are you doing? What are you up to? And hopefully, again, you enjoy these occasional update videos, just a really nice way for me to talk about what else is going on in my life. And love to hear from all of you down in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, all those good things, and I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.